The Blue Jackets choked another game away to the Montreal Canadiens. This time, it hurts a lot more. We'll discuss why on Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Hayden. My co-host who is out today is Jay Foster. He'll be back tomorrow. We are here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of your favorite team and ours, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before I get going, I want to say thank you to the everydayers. If you're not already one of our everydayers, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Blue Jackets. We're available on all podcast platforms. Right here, if you're watching on YouTube, we are on the SiriusXM app. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Get some good tickets to some good games. Not a good game tonight at Nationwide Arena. This was one I thought the Blue Jackets were really going to win this one. In fact, I actually, in between the second and third period, I may have jinxed it. Call it a jinx. I don't really believe in those, especially for what I was doing. I was just curious, trying to poke around and figure out when was the last time the Columbus Blue Jackets won 4 games in a 5-game stretch. And to nobody's surprise that they didn't do that last year. It was March 2022 the last time they did it. So I had all these fancy stats. I was going to bring up, not really fancy stats, but I was going to talk about some of the players who were hot during that stretch back in March of 2022. Some of them had been hot in this would have been stretch here in November of 2023, but Blue Jackets choked the game away, man. They had so many chances there. And I felt like, for one, the power play, just bad for 6 years, 7 years in a row, however long it's been. The power play's been atrocious, just 16% in the last 6 years. Terrible. Like, your power play should be at least 20%. I feel like if it's decent, if it's working, if it's functional, and it just hasn't been. It's been a completely dysfunctional power play. The Blue Jackets have brought in multiple coaches over the years. Martin St. Louis, Brad Larson was brought in. Mark Recchi's been brought in to fix the power play. None of it has worked. It's just been hair-pulling watching as a fan. But tonight, they put themselves in chances to get goals, and credit the Montreal Canadiens. Credit the Montreal Canadiens goaltender tonight, Sam Montembeault, for he stopped that one right on the goal line, right in the second period there. It was Marchenko going across crease to Boone Jenner. He kicked it with his pad, but that looked like everything you draw up, everything you dream of for a power play for the Blue Jackets, them moving it around in the zone, and it gets it to your captain on the doorstep at home. When you've been playing better, this one should go in. And for poor Columbus fans who had to watch their, the Ohio State Buckeyes lose on Saturday, it's like the same thing. Like, the team put themselves in a situation to take the game into their own hands, have the ball in their court, have the lead, and just not how it goes for Columbus. And things had started to go that way. It felt like the last couple games for the Blue Jackets, which had given me hope playing a team like the Montreal Canadiens. Like, hey, maybe they could get 2 points in this one. They lost. They played a good game with the Canadiens earlier in October. They lost that one 4-3 on the road. It was another game where the Jackets were in the lead, and I believe late gave up a goal. And just not a good time. Not a good time tonight. Same story, same result. Blue Jackets, except this time, don't even get the single point. So frustrating, disappointing, and it felt like in that first period, I was watching this game tonight. It was 0-0 coming out of that first period. I felt like the Jackets could have easily had goals. Just, it didn't work out. I don't know what the Blue Jackets have such a problem with 2-on-1s. Something's not working with their 2-on-1s, their odd man rushes, because it feels like it may be like going back to last year, the last time the Columbus Blue Jackets scored on a 2-on-1. And Chinakhov and Cole Sillinger, two of the better players recently for the Blue Jackets. I thought we're definitely going to be the guys to get that done tonight, and they didn't. I know 2-on-1s are not it's not a guaranteed goal, but it just feels like Columbus is struggling to put those situations in the back of the net. And Chinakhov ended up getting a goal, by the way. I thought the Blue Jackets responded to Montreal Canadiens goals well. First of all, Patrik Laine opening the night scoring was awesome. But before that, though, before Patrik Laine even got his goal there in the second period, what was Zach Werenski doing? He just, that was kind of the first moment where I realized, oh gosh, are the Blue Jackets going to let the Canadiens hang around in this game? They just look flat-footed, and it was just one play where Zach Werenski was just he'd lost the puck in his feet, but really wasn't making a great effort to improve on his situation. Canadiens ended up keeping the puck in the zone there, and then Patrik Laine poked it out and then ended up scoring on Sam Montembeault, which was a fantastic move. Usually he goes forehand to backhand. He keeps it on his forehand after faking the backhand. Maybe a light fake in there, but he keeps it on his forehand, gets it past Montembeault, 1-0 lead. You feel good about what the Blue Jackets have done to this point. And then Provorov, then just he loses his position in the middle of the ice and just forgets how to just play. Provorov's one of those guys so far this year. I've noticed that about him. Just a classic CBJ defenseman. Just is going to, make an amazing play, put the team in a situation holy crap, maybe they don't get a goal out of it, but he's going to set a guy up on a pass, and you're just going to be holy crap, that was mind-blowing offense that he just created. And then in the same shift is just going to blow a tire, let two no-name Montreal Canadiens get past him, and then put pressure on Elvis. And they're not two no-name Montreal Canadiens. One of them, at least on that first goal, was Cole Caulfield, who by far has been their better player over the last couple seasons there up in Montreal. And honestly, I thought Provorov did a good job trying to get back on defense. I thought Juracek, his D partner tonight, did a good job trying to get back on defense. Juracek ended up making a mistake of his own later in the game, which led to it being tied 2-2 after the Chinakhov goal. So, yeah, the Blue Jackets gave up the Cole Caulfield goal, made it 1-1. They end up coming right back on offense. And Zach Werenski, again, he was moving the puck around. Columbus effortlessly was able to generate pretty good offense tonight. I wonder what they would have been able to do if they would have had their foot on the gas a little bit more. It just felt like there were so many moments in this game where it was Columbus is just being too patient. They're being too passive. And again, one of those players tonight was not Patrik Laine. I hate to get on X or Twitter and see people already cooking up Patrik Laine trades, trying to get him out of Columbus. That's just ridiculous. That's a complete overreaction to this game. First of all, your expectations are maybe too high because, yeah, had Columbus had a good last 4 games, yes, they had been playing better. But remind you, before they had been playing better, they had lost 9 games in a row. So there are still some serious issues with this team. It just feels like tonight was a very winnable game, even with going back to that, even with all the issues that the Blue Jackets have, which is still can't finish on open chances, can't finish odd man rushes, can't finish on power plays, can't keep the puck in the zone at times. And that's just that's mostly it. Johnny Gaudreau's not he's not really creating chances for himself. He's setting guys up. Again, he's been doing that all year. But I guess if I'm an opposing coach right now, I'm just pretending like number 13 doesn't even have a stick out there. He's only going to make a pass. Number 13 for the Columbus Blue Jackets, he is not scoring at all. And I know he scored against Carolina on Sunday, but come on, that was a lucky goal. I mean, he was due for a lucky goal, but I'm not even I don't have an issue. I really don't have an inherent issue with the way that they are playing. Other than tonight, other than against the Montreal Canadiens, I just felt like the Blue Jackets were very flat-footed, and like I thought Boone Jenner, like where was he at tonight? I kind of lost him at times. I kind of lost Johnny Gaudreau at times. I never really lost Patrick Laine. I felt like him and Fantilli and Texier were doing good things, but you know, again, some rookie mistakes tonight also cost the Blue Jackets. Adam Fantilli had a couple turnovers. He at least had one pretty bad turnover in the O-zone. David Jurček had the turnover, which led to the Lindstrom goal, I believe, or maybe it was the Matheson goal that made it 2-2. And then the third period, just an absolute debacle. Obviously, the Blue Jackets get no goals. They had a power play opportunity, I believe, and the Canadiens get one with 2 minutes 40 seconds left, something like that. Joel Armia, it was a redirect off of I believe maybe it was the Lindstrom shot there, and that his redirect. It was Armia's redirect that got it in, but I think it came from Lindstrom's shot. Not quite sure on that. Anyway, I already want to forget about this game. Still have another segment that I want to talk about it and much more coming up next on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, though, I want to tell you guys about Game Time. If you're looking to buy tickets this winter for, some nice indoor winter dates, I don't really like to go on outdoor winter dates. I know sometimes they can be pretty cutesy, with the snow falling and whatnot. Maybe hit a park, maybe get a nice coffee, a walk in the park. I don't know. It's getting closer to the holidays, it's getting colder, so I'm just thinking of outdoor winter dates. But no, skip the outdoor winter dates. Don't do that. Take your date to a hockey game. Take them to an NBA game. Take them to whatever you want. You can take them to a concert. You can take them to a comedy show. Game Time has all of those events. They have last-minute deals. They have all-in prices. They have good views from your seat. They have just the best price guaranteed. I've been using some of the other ticketing apps in the past, and none of them have as good a price as compared to Game Time. So just take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Again, last-minute tickets, flash deals, easy way to find and buy tickets for any kind of event in your area. Views from your seat, all-in prices, lowest prices guaranteed, event cancellation protection. So take the guesswork, again, out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It was a bad game. It was a bad game for Columbus at Nationwide on Wednesday night. This is just definitely one they should have won. The Montreal Canadiens are struggling right now, much like the Blue Jackets. I mean, they're doing better than the Blue Jackets. I actually shouldn't say that. They have 10 wins on the year. Columbus still just sitting at 7 wins on the year. But, man, if Columbus is serious about this season, which I think they are, I think it's still time left. Even after this loss tonight, I still think there is time to mount a Stanley Cup playoff run. I don't think it's likely. I think at some point, you're going to get into middle of the winter and there's going to probably be some injuries. There always seems to be with every team in every sport. There's just going to be, I think, some of your rookies are going to continue to slip up. But maybe it'll go the other way. Maybe the rookies will play better, and maybe you'll stay healthy all year. Knock on wood. And if things do go that way, then yeah, Columbus can be in a playoff spot come April. But if they play the way that they play tonight against teams like the Montreal Canadiens, when they get opportunities to play teams like the Montreal Canadiens at home in the middle of a week, in a light week, I'm not going to speak on what an NHL player goes through week to week, but I feel like this is probably one of the easier weeks for Columbus Blue Jacket. I mean, come on, 3 straight home games after maybe traveling a lot. Sorry, my phone is just going off nonstop. I got a new case, and my nails just can't seem to constantly get in to click the ringer off. Anyway, I felt like Columbus had a nice, easy chance here at getting 2 points. And God forbid, if they don't get 2 points, get 1 point tonight. And they didn't. They got no points tonight because they looked flat-footed. I thought maybe that was just my own thought. Like, when you watch one play happen in a game and you kind of make an assumption about the whole game. And I felt like the Blue Jackets definitely looked flat-footed tonight. And I wasn't at the game. I was watching on TV. My buddy just texted me out of nowhere. This was one of the Blue Jackets' worst performances. He's a season ticket holder. And I think that just goes to show that Columbus blew this game, did not have the right energy they needed to win this game, and just a massive blown opportunity. So, yeah, I don't really have anything more to say on this. I mean, even some guys that had been playing good, we had been pumping Justin Danforth's tires on this podcast for a while. He just had a very bad effort, I feel like, on that last goal. It's going to happen in the course of an NHL season. Some of our favorite players are going to have ugly moments. That was probably one of Justin Danforth's first and only ugly moment so far this year. But yeah, I mean, Columbus, like, if you're gonna be competing in the Metro, which has, I think the Metropolitan right now has 8 teams that think they can win the Stanley Cup. And I know fans, realistic fans, know that the Blue Jackets can't win the Stanley Cup this year, but I think all 8 teams look at this year, and at this point in the season, Blue Jackets are going to be the first team out of that conversation. But before that, I think there's 8 teams in the Metro that think they can win the Stanley Cup. I mean, look at the Rangers, Canes, Flyers right now. The Flyers, well-coached team out of John Tortorella. We know that. I mean, I think we're all honestly surprised by that. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're not. Maybe we shouldn't be. We know Torts is definitely the coach that can pull a lot out of bad teams. And I feel like Pascal Vincent, speaking before I just jumped to talking about a completely different coach on a completely different team, I think Pascal Vincent has done a good job getting the Blue Jackets to play up to their opponent, i.e., how they played against the Bruins, how they played against the Canes, how they played against the Devils. Tonight, against the Habs, they played down to their opponent. There is no doubt about it. The Montreal Canadiens did not play that good of a game. They did not deserve to win this game tonight, but they absolutely stole 2 points. They were opportunistic when the Blue Jackets made mistakes, and sometimes that's all it takes to win a hockey game. Doesn't seem to work that way for Columbus because usually they play teams. They play in it. First of all, they play in the toughest division in hockey, which means night in, night out. They're playing teams that have their head screwed on, right? And tonight, the Jackets did not have their head screwed on. Just bad mistakes everywhere. I mean, it was bad. Man, they could have easily won this game. They could have easily won this game. I remain that. I still feel good about the direction that they're heading in. It's just discouraging, and it feels like the path to being competitive might be a little bit longer than I thought even after the last game, which is frustrating because it's like, 1 step forward, 2 steps back with this team right now. And again, this could all be an overreaction to one game in the middle of the week here. They're going to play the Senators on Friday, and it's the start of a new month. The month of November was just terrible. I have a few thoughts on how the entire month went. I kind of want to wrap it up and then maybe look ahead to some games in December that could be fun. Some opportunities where the Jackets will really be able to test themselves, I feel like. And we'll see. Maybe the Blue Jackets have a better month. And if they have a better month, they'll go into January with 4 months of hockey, and we can reset and decide if they're even near a playoff spot by then. But really, the reason why I keep talking about a playoff spot, because that's why we do this, right? That's why we root for this team. I'm not rooting for them to just continue to draft young guys. I still have not looked up a 2024 NHL mock draft, so don't talk to me about who the number 1 overall pick is yet. I'm not at that point. I'm not counting out the Jackets, but let's talk about what the Jackets have to do to get themselves in a playoff spot by the end of December next on Locked On Blue Jackets. Passion, drive, and patience. These are the things that bring home the winning trophy. They're also the things that keep your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to that peak performance that you're looking for, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, not crash either. You're not crashing your new ride at all, hopefully. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Take care of your vehicle. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right. Well, 2 months in the books for this 2024 Columbus Blue Jackets season. I'm getting my years mixed up because they're starting to blur together. Columbus is starting to look like a team that needs to go into a serious rebuild. They're starting to – the conversation is out there about the general manager position, and I'm not going to shy away from it, but I'm also not going to entertain it, okay? I don't want to talk about Jarmo's job because, frankly, I don't think Jarmo is the problem. I don't. I feel like he's built a pretty good team. If the guy is out there that is, ready to take this team to a Stanley Cup, then by all means, if the ownership feels like that's the right move, I'm not going to stand in their way and defend Jarmo. But also, is it really to him? Is it really the players, or is it the players? I feel like right now it's the players. I feel like this game against the Montreal Canadiens was a clear-cut example of a team being put in the right position by their coach, by the fans. The fans were into it tonight, by the GM himself, by everybody, and they just couldn't get the job done. There's no excusing this loss for the Blue Jackets against the Canadiens. I don't feel like, and again, I know coaches, GMs, they all lose their jobs because of what the players do, not necessarily because of the control that those guys have or the influence necessarily that they have. But sometimes a new guy at the helm can get the job done. I don't personally feel like that guy is out there for Columbus, because I feel like Jarmo, he's not really the hands-on type of GM. He's more just he's going to try to squeeze as much as he can out of trades kind of guy. And he's done a good job, I feel like. Set this team up to have Stanley Cup winning windows, to have chances to go after playoff runs. But it's the guys at the top that aren't getting the job done for the Blue Jackets right now. It's Johnny Gaudreau, Patrick Laine, Boone Jenner. Those three guys. It's not Zach Werenski. It's not on the defense. Zach Werenski he has 15 points on the year in 21 games. And actually, Boone Jenner is also up there. He has been pretty consistent as well. It's on Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau. One of these two guys has to get hot, okay? And I know they're both kind of like simmering. One of them needs to get boiling. We need one of them to get boiling hot if the Blue Jackets are going to be serious about making the playoffs this year, because those guys are just too big of pieces on these teams for them both to just be hibernating through this next month of December. And it is a big opportunity for Columbus to get some wins as they play 12, 13, 14 games this month. And all of them mostly on the eastern side of the Mississippi, which I think is a good thing. I think that matters because the travel isn't as light. At least it's not as much of an excuse. They're going to go to – let's just go through it. Let's go through the month of December, okay? It starts Friday against the Senators. Sunday, the following Sunday, they are in Boston. After that, the next week, they go back home. They host the Kings. On December 7th, they are back on the East Coast playing on Long Island against the Islanders. Then they come home Friday against the Blues. December 10th at home against the Panthers. So back-to-back home games there. It'll be fun to see a team like the St. Louis Blues. I think there's some winnable games here, guys. And then after the Panthers, they visit Toronto, come back home, play the Devils. They visit the Sabres. 2 home games. They get the Capitals and the Leafs. They go to the Devils, come back home after Christmas. They host the Leafs again. play Boston or play the Sabres, and then they start January off playing the Bruins. So I know that was kind of crazy and hectic, and heck, it's late right now. I didn't even feel like reading that, but I did, and I instantly regretted it as soon as I got going, as you could probably tell in my voice. But I read all that to tell you, Blue Jackets are going to play a lot of Atlantic teams there. They're going to play the Leafs 3 times. They're going to play the Sabres twice. They're going to play the Bruins again. They do get the Capitals and Devils, which should be fun. Those are both teams that the Blue Jackets have had good games against this year. Or at least they beat the Devils most recently. And I feel like they've played good games with the Capitals. They haven't beaten the Capitals in 2 attempts this year in Washington, but they'll get them at home in December. And yeah, after a month of November where they were 4-9-2, which just is bad. That's so bad. 4-9-2 is a terrible record for the month of November. Hopefully December can be better than that. I mean, I expect at least 6 wins, at least 6-7 wins for them to be. They're probably going to need to get like 8 or 9 in a 14-game stretch for them to be back in a playoff spot. But I expect this team to get 6 wins. If they get anything less than that, then yeah, we are going to be talking all of 2024, all of it early 2024 about the draft, about the future, about Yarmo's job. I promise we will dismantle this team if they don't get at least 6 wins in the month of December, because they play, they're only on the road 6 times. So they got 8 home games that month. So it's a heavy home month against a lot of Atlantic teams. So a little bit of a break from the Metro. Come on. That's the time. It's the strike zone if you're Columbus. It's the strike zone if you're Columbus. And it's too early for it to be – it's too early for it to feel this late for this team, but it definitely is starting to feel that late, and it's unfortunate. But, hey, always time to turn things around. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Locked On Blue Jackets. Tomorrow we'll be previewing the matchup Friday night. Blue Jackets taking on the Ottawa Senators. I know the Ottawa Senators are always a fun team. They're 8-9 right now. They are last place in the Atlantic. They have 5 games in hand, though, over the Montreal Canadiens. So Blue Jackets playing back-to-back games against the bottom of the Atlantic. They better get 2 points. They better get 2 points against the Senators. Otherwise, it is not going to be a fun episode following that one either. But again, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you to the Everydayers for making this podcast possible. If you like following along with Locked On Blue Jackets, you can follow the show on Twitter at LO_Blue Jackets. You can find me on there. I'm there at HaydenH971. Jay is on there at _JAKOBFORSTER. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please direct those to lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening, and until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.